In a previous lesson, we looked at testing and debugging techniques, and we saw that we have syntax errors that can cause a program to crash or not even compile. We also have logic errors where we get the wrong result. But there's another situation that occurs outside of our control as the programmer, and that is an exception. An exception is a condition that exists maybe unexpectedly that causes our program to crash or to halt, often due to faulty input by the user. Let's consider this application to calculate the area of a rectangle. I have a text box named txt width, another text box named txt length. This is a label called LBL rectangle. We'll use that for output. And then a button named btn calc. Let's look at the code for these. In our btn calc.click event handler, I'm dimming variables width and length and area as double, setting the width equal to the text property of txt width converted to a double, same with length from txt length. Area is width times length, and our output then is LBL rectangle.text is the area is, and we're going to show the area to 2 decimal places. I also did a text changed event handler for both of those text boxes, so if anytime we change the text, it's going to reset the text of the rectangle to find the area, enter height and length, and then click the button. Let's watch this run. So I click the calculate the area button, and I'm told the area is 121.29. That seems reasonable, but let me just double check this. Let's go 10 and maybe 15, and I should get 150, and I do. So I make sure that that works. But what happens if the user leaves it blank? Now it crashed. Or alternatively, the user puts in 12.3R. Instead of typing a 4, they typed an R. And now we calculate the area, and it crashes. So those are things outside of our control at this point in terms of doing our calculation, but we need to account for them so our program doesn't crash. We need to take that exception and be able to handle it. So I'm going to stop my program, and in my code, I want to handle the possible exception of bad input data so that my program doesn't crash. And I can use a structure called a try-catch. I'm just going to, at the end of my code here, I'm going to type the word try. And when I press the enter key, it gives me a catch EX as exception and end try. What I'm going to do is take my code, and I'm going to copy it between the try and the catch. So what I'm saying here is I want to try to execute this code. If everything goes fine, great. But if it doesn't, if there's an exception, I want to catch that exception. In this case, all I'm going to do is, let's just show a message box. I'm going to take EX, that's the value of my exception. It has a message property that will tell me what went wrong. And we'll do a title of something went wrong. So now I'm going to run my program. And this time, if I leave a field blank, I click calculate the area, I get a message box saying something went wrong. Conversion from string null, quote, quote, to type double is not valid. Now that doesn't really tell me a whole lot what's going on as far as the end user, but I can maybe figure out, oh, something happened to my input string. Now let's do the same thing. Let's go back to make this 10. Let's make this 12A. And I basically get the same thing. This time, though, I'm seeing the 12A as my string, and I'm going, oh, I made a mistake there. Whereas before, the quote, quote, I as the user may not recognize that it was a null string, but perhaps I would. Maybe instead of something went wrong, most likely error here is going to be input. So instead of something went wrong, we might simply say faulty input, question mark. Let me just rerun this. And so again, I just put nothing there, and I'm getting faulty input question mark. That's maybe a little more descriptive of what's going on than that something went wrong, and conversion from string to type double is not valid. So that's how we can handle potential bad data from the user. Now I could have put the conversion of the width in a try-catch and then done the length in a separate try-catch. And then we could basically say, hey, there's something wrong with the width or there's something wrong with the length. In this particular instance, I think it's easier to do it all at once. Just say, hey, there's a problem here. They can probably figure out what's going on. It does keep your program from crashing and gives the user the ability to correct and continue on. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.